Right, in this video, I'm going to try to give you a demonstration of On Base. So this is a new baseball game that I'm making based off of player WAR and sabermetric statistics and values. So basic setup here, we have a dice roller application that we can use on any device, a smartphone, or I'm using a tablet here. You could also use it on your computer if you wanted to. Just a basic scorecard that I created specifically for the game. And you can see on the scorecard that it has different types of values for the WAR. So we have a WAR value here. This is the general WAR value, and then with splits against left and right. There's a couple of other values here for speed that we use for base running plays, and then clutch. Still working out clutch, but I anticipate it being a part of the game as well. And then also, obviously, the handedness of the batter and what position they're playing. I also have space for the pitchers. Same thing with the WAR, and then the splits for the pitchers as well. So to me, it works out pretty well. Here's the game engine, and so you can see there's a 50-50 roll, and that's controlled by this blue dice. So the value of that determines whether the pitcher or the batter gets control of the at-bat. And you can see up here, these are ranges of WAR values. So essentially you just take the roll, which is going to come from these two D6 values, and then take the smallest number and then put it first, and then the larger number goes second. So we have, you can see the roll possibilities down each side. I put it on this side just to make it easier to sort of cross-reference on the pitcher side. But if it's a 1 to 3, if the blue dice is a 1 to 3, blue die, excuse me, then you're going to look on this side of the chart. If it's a 4 to 6, you're going to get the outcome from this side of the chart. There's a few different plays and sort of special plays down here that are denoted inside here. You can see the special symbols and what those mean. So if you hit an outcome with a special symbol, you do an error check, or maybe it's a double play, that type of thing. And then what kind of double play? Just a reminder about using things like sac bunts or steals, tags, extra bases. We just have those down there. It's also in the sort of the gameplay guide that you can download as well. Let's look at our starting lineup. So we have the Braves, the Atlanta Braves against the Dodgers. And take a look at the starting lineups here. You can see batting leadoff is Ronald Lacuna. And just to take a look at the card, a good look at it, you have the players' number up here. You have their handedness, what positions they played, and this is based off of a 2019. His overall WAR value, and then if there's any adjustments to be made for splits. So he's just going to be a 5.6 versus left or right, doesn't matter. His speed value, his clutch rating, and then I'm also in the future going to work in sort of the offense and defense. They're separated and split out from one another, and these are values that are used to create the overall WAR value. So WAR does take into account a player's defense, especially I'm using FWAR, which is a fangraphs.com WAR value, and it takes into account the player's defense as well. So if you wanted to just base all of your outcomes off of purely the player's offensive capability and not the defense, or if you wanted to somehow incorporate defense into errors. So I'm thinking about how to do that for the future. We have our advanced statistics here, and then just sort of your baseline regular traditional statistics here. So if you want to make your decisions based off of those types of decisions, that's definitely something you have for each card. So batting second, Freddie Freeman. Batting third, Josh Donaldson. This is 2019, so batting third and playing third. Ozzie Albies is going to be hitting cleanup. Markakis in right field. Starting Markakis, he has a pretty low WAR here. This is just barely above, sort of a AAA player. But if you see here, his splits against right-handers, he's far better against right-handers than left-handers. So sort of a platoon player. And Kenta Maeda is the pitcher for the Dodgers. So we're going to start Markakis in right field. Same thing here for Tyler Flowers. So he doesn't bat very well. He's actually going to be dropping down to a 1.1 against left-handers. But against right-handers, he's going to move up to a 3.1. So a little bit better hitter. You can see here he's also a really good defensive player, and that's the large part of where his WAR is coming from, because he's hitting 229. 733 OPS is not really that great, but he's up as a 2 WAR because of his defense. So again, in the future, maybe being able to separate those things out so that you can really make decisions based on their offensive capability. Ender Inciarte in center field. He's fast, so anything above a 6 is going to be a pretty fast player. He doesn't have a lot of stolen bases, but he doesn't get caught either. But the speed rating is going to play into tagging up and also taking extra bases, that type of thing. Dansby Swanson, he's a 1.5, doesn't matter left or right. He's playing shortstop. Pitching for the Braves, I'll show you the pitcher card. So the pitcher card is a little bit different than the hitter card. Again, same information up here, whether he's a starting pitcher or reliever, or some players have both. They were a starter or a reliever. And so in that case, it's a little bit different look to each of the cards. Just some different values that are available. His stamina is a 23, so that's the next big number. And what that means is batters faced. So once the pitcher gets to that number in an inning, he won't immediately drop in that inning, but the next inning, if he comes back and pitches in the next inning after he's gotten to this number here, then you'll subtract a 1.0 WAR. So for him, he would drop from a 1.6 to a 0.6, which in effect is not a big deal because he's still going to be in the same column. But for some pitchers, that really is, it's a drop from one column to the next. And a drop in column means a drop in outcome possibilities. So there's a greater chance that the pitcher is going to give up more hits or home runs or walks or whatever. These are defense independent pitching stats, so DIPS. FIP is fielding independent pitching. So this is, if you take away all of the fielding parts of baseball and the defensive parts of baseball, what would his ERA be essentially? So you can see that he's been helped quite a bit by his defense. So 3.81 was his real ERA that year. 4.66 was his ERA if you take away sort of defense and luck and some of those ballpark type outcome things. His batting average on balls in play, quite low. So again, maybe some luck was involved or some great defensive plays. His whip is a little high. His walk percentage is quite high. And then home runs per 9 inning, not that bad. But it seems like he's given up a lot of walks and a lot of big hits. So you can see traditional stats again at the bottom here, and how many games he's pitched, and just sort of your traditional counter stats down at the bottom. So that's the pitcher card. And let's look at the Dodgers. So leading off for the Dodgers is Jock Peterson. Batting second, Max Muncy. Third is Justin Turner. Fourth is Bellinger, playing right field. But you can see also that he played first in center field. So he plays center field quite a bit this year in the playoffs. Corey Seager. Verdugo, when he was still with the Dodgers. Kike Hernandez. And then we're going to start Russell Martin at the at the catcher position. They have a few different players to choose from in this card set. So Smith made his debut, and Austin Barnes also was on the roster, but Russell Martin actually started the year with them, played in 83 games, and is quite a good defensive catcher. Not much to speak of on the offensive side, though. So that's how the Dodgers are going to roll with their lineup. Kenta Maeda, right-hander for the Dodgers, is going to start for them. And let's just walk through some of the gameplay. It really is easy. Just roll, read the numbers left to right, basically, and then that's going to determine the outcomes here. So hopefully I can get you in close enough that we can do a couple of innings, and you can get to see the pace of play. So first up is going to be Ronald Lacuna. He's facing a right-hander, so no real change there as far as his splits are concerned. So it's a 6, so that's going to be actually to the pitcher side. So we're going to say a 1-2 to the pitcher. And so we go up here 1-2, and Maeda against right-handers is a 4.0 WAR. So a 1-2, we come to the 4-6 column, and a 1-2 is going to be a ground out. And then when you want to find out where the ground out happened or the fly out happened, you reference this D9. So it's going to be a 1 through 9. Obviously, you can't ground out to the left fielder. So anything from 7 to 9, I've just been calling a ground out to shortstop. So we'll just say 6-3 on that play. And Freddie Freeman is up again to the pitcher. It's a 2-3 to the pitcher, and a 2-3 to the pitcher against when he's pitching against left-handers. He's a 2.5. So you can see that the splits do matter when you play, because that drops him down an entire column here. So a 2-3 in this column is going to be a walk to Freeman. Next is Josh Donaldson. Okay, so this one, it goes to the batter's side, and it's going to be a 1-5 to the batter. Donaldson against right-handed pitching is going to be a 4.9. So a 1-5 under this 4-6 column is a single for Donaldson. Pushes the runner to second base. You can play taking extra bases and things like that. You would just look at the runner's speed value and then roll. And then if this D9 is greater than the runner's speed value, then he's out. If it's less than the runner's speed value, then he's safe. So Freeman is a 3.8. We're not going to chance it. He only has a 30% chance of making it to third base with Ozzie Albies coming up. So a good hitter, no need to really chance it. I tried to walk the line with this game of creating a simulation and creating a game with some possibilities. So both possibilities for you to control how the game flows and goes, and for making decisions, but also for outcomes. So over the course of a season, I'm not guaranteeing that any of the batters hit the numbers that they have. It's not that precise. What I wanted to do was put batters in the possibility, in the realm of possibility of recreating, getting close to recreating their numbers. So if you're looking for a sports simulation, maybe this isn't the game, but I hope that it's got enough sort of open elements to it that it's fun and pretty easy. You can see there's not a whole lot of setup or things that you need. There's only one chart. There's only one role set up. So hopefully getting in and out of a game is easy. Understanding the players and making decisions on the players is easy as well. And that was sort of the goal of the game. So up is Albies. Albies, this is going to be to the batter, and a 2-3 to the batter. Albies is a 4.6. So a 2.3 is a single. So the Braves are in business here. Got the bases loaded now. And only one out. And that brings up Nick Markakis. So Markakis is a 2.0 WAR against right-handers, so that was why I started him. but obviously if it goes to the pitcher side, that's null and void. So it goes to the batter, and it's a 2-2 to the batter, and a 2-2 to the batter is here in the 2 to 4 column, and that's going to be a double. Now if he had been up against a left-hander, it would have been a single, but because he moved up from the 0 to 2 WAR to a 2.0, now we're reading off this 2 to 4, and it's going to be a double. So you can see that batters moving up and down their columns is actually going to change the outcomes of the game, which was my hope all along with the splits. So that's a 2 RBI double. Puts runners at second and third now for the Braves with only 1 out. And Tyler Flowers up. This is going to be out the pitcher card. That's a 1-6 to the pitcher. And a 1-6 to the pitcher. He's a 4.0 against right-handers. That's going to be a fly out. But the runners advance. So you can see here that's what this one says. So it's going to be a fly out. And we check the D9 here. 1 to 3 is going to be left field on a fly out. 4 to 6 is going to be center. 7 to 9 is going to be right field. So it's actually a fly out to right field. So it's a little tricky, and you got to kind of wrap your mind around this. I just wanted to create a device that was one die that helps you to determine infield and outfield and things like that. So this is sort of our interactive die that controls a lot of different things. So you gotta think 7, 8, 9 is right field. It's not a fly out to 7. It's a fly out to 9. So it's something that as you play it a little bit more, you just sort of start thinking, okay, that's a fly out to right field. But I still do have to think about it sometimes. So Inciarte is up. We didn't move our runners along. So that moves a runner to third. Runner scores from third base, and the runner moves to third base. So it's going to be an RBI for Tyler Flowers. Sacrifice fly because it was a fly out, and the runners advance. Okay, this is going to be to the batter, a 4-6 to the batter. The batter is Inciarte, and he is in this first column. So it's going to be a 4-6, and it's going to be a strikeout. And again, we can look here to find out what's the nature of the strikeout. Was it a strikeout swinging or a strikeout looking? 1 to 6 is a strikeout swinging. 7 to 9 is a strikeout looking. So that's how I've been playing that. And so that's a strikeout here for Inciarte, and that ends the inning. And so they get 3 runs in the inning. We can go back through at the end of the game and count up hits and errors and things like that, but just to keep the game flowing, just doing the runs for now. So first up for the Dodgers against Julio Teheran, it's Jock Peterson. So this is to the pitcher, and it's a 5-6 to the pitcher. Teheran is a 1.6, doesn't matter against left or right. So a 5-6 to the pitcher is here, and Teheran is going to be in this first column. So it's going to be a fly out. Again, it's not F8, it's F9, right? Because it's a 7, 8, or 9 over here. So it's a fly out to right. And the next batter, this is going to be to the batter side. So a 1-2 to the batter. And the hitter is Max Muncy. Muncy is a 4.8 against everybody, doesn't matter. And so a 1-2 to Muncy is up here. He's going to be a 4.8, so that's a strikeout. Again, that's a strikeout swinging because it's a 1 to a 6. Next up is Justin Turner. Again to the batter, a 1-1 to the batter. Turner against right-handers is a 3.4. So a 1-1 here in the second column is actually going to be a strikeout, and because the number here is a 9, that's going to be a strikeout looking. Using the old backwards K. So 3 up, 3 down for Julio Teheran. Braves are up 3-0. Dansby Swanson is up. And it's going to be to the pitcher. A 2-4 to the pitcher. And he's batting against, or he's pitching against a right-hander. So Maeda is a 4.0 against right-handers. You can see Normally he's a 2.5, so he'd be in this column. But against right-handers, we're reading out of this column, which, you know, the OPS over here is 912, the OPS here is 836. So the possibilities here are significantly less than the possibilities here. So moving up and down with the splits actually makes a pretty big difference. So a 4.0, he's a 2.4. And so if we look here, and that's going to be a strikeout looking for Swanson. Julio Teheran is up. Now it's a pitcher spot. I've set a 1.0 for the pitcher speed. Doesn't matter who it is. And I've set a 0.0 for the pitcher hitting. Some pitchers are really good hitters, but they don't ever even get out of they're not a 2-WAR hitter, you know, so even the best pitchers in baseball are not going to be moving out of that first column. So I just set everybody to 0.0 and basically read. If they get control of the at-bat, I read out of that first column. So Teheran is up, and this is going to be to the batter. A 6-6 to the batter is actually going to be a home run. So that's quite a coincidence. Talk about him not being able to hit, and then he gets a home run. So a solo home run for Teheran. Takes us back to the top of the order in Ronald Lacuna. So this is to the pitcher, a 5-5 to the pitcher. The pitcher against right-handers is a 4.0. So 5-5 here is going to be a strikeout swing. So he gets Acuna swing. And that's 2 outs in the inning. It brings up Freddie Freeman. This can be a 1-6 to the pitcher. Now Maeda against left-handers is only a 2.5 WAR. So we're going to read off of this second column. So a 1-6 is always a fly out with runners advancing. So it's a fly out to right field, remember. Okay. So the Braves do get one more in the second off of Maeda and bring us to the bottom of the second. Braves up 4-0. And that's going to be Cody Bellinger. So this is going to be to the pitcher, a 5-6 to the pitcher. And Teheran against left-handers, again, is out of that first column. We're always going to be reading from this first column when it's Julio Teheran. So a 5-6 is going to be a fly out, and that's going to be to right field. Occasionally, you'll get a fly out like here that has a little cross on it, and then you're going to need to do an error check for that, but that comes up only so often. Again to the pitcher, a 5-5 to the pitcher, and that's going to be either a double play or a strikeout. So with nobody on base, it's going to be a strikeout, and that'll be a strikeout swing. So Teheran's taking care of business here in the first couple of innings so far. Okay, this goes to the batter, a 5-6, and Alex Verdugo is the batter, and he's going to have a 5-6. He's a 2.2. So we go 5-6, 2.2, and that's going to be a strikeout as well. So Teheran is on his game with 4 strikeouts in 2 innings. Up next for the Braves is Josh Donaldson. This is going to be to the pitcher. A 3-5 to the pitcher is a 4.0. So we're going to see here it's going to be a single. And that's two base hits for Donaldson so far. This goes to the batter. It's a 1-1 to the batter. That's usually going to be something really good. So a 1-1 here is going to be a ground out. So for a lesser player, that would have been a triple. Here it's going to be a ground out. And we have the cross. So for the cross, so we need to do an error check to see. So it's a ground out to the pitcher, and we need to see, is it going to be an error on the pitcher, or will he make the play? So we're going to roll again, and we're going to check the D9. And if the value is a 1, then it's going to be a 1-base error on the fielder. If it's more than 1, so a 2 through 9, then the pitcher will have made the play. So we roll again, and it's an 8, so the pitcher makes the play. And we'll say a 1-3, which is going to move the batter along to second base. Remember, Donaldson was on first base. So that's one of the things where you get a little bit of control about how that goes. You could have tried, you could have said, well, he makes the out at second base, or you can sort of give yourself a rule that they're always going to get the lead runner, that type of thing. I've played different ways, and I don't know, just however you're feeling. You can sort of manipulate and control the outcomes of the at-bats as well. Markakis is up. So that's going to be to the batter, a 2-6 to the batter. Markakis is a 2.0, and that's going to be a ground out with the runners advancing. So the ground out here is not to left field, but to shortstop. So runner advances to third on the ground out, and there's 2 outs now with Donaldson at third base and Tyler Flowers at the plate. This is to the pitcher, a 1-4 to the pitcher, and against a right-hander, he's a 4.0. So that's going to be a strikeout. It's going to be a strikeout swinging because this is a 1 to a 6. So that strikeout ends the inning, and the threat is ended as well. Bottom of the third, Kike Hernandez, second baseman for the Dodgers, is up against Tehran. This is a 3-6 to the batter, and so Hernandez is a 1.2, so we're going to read out of this first column. So a 3-6 here is going to be a ground out to the catcher. A little dribbler in front of the plate. This Russell Martin's first at bat. So this goes to the pitcher. It's a 5-5 to the pitcher, and a 5-5 to the pitcher is going to be a strikeout, and it's a strikeout looking because it's a 6 through 9. Okay, and the pitcher spot is up. This goes to the pitcher. A 2-2 to the pitcher is also going to be in this first column, and you can see that Maeda hits a double. So runner on second base, back to the top of the order with Jock Peterson. This is to the hitter, a 4-5 to the hitter, and Peterson against right-handers is a 3.0. So that's going to be a fly out with the runners advancing. But with 2 outs, it's just going to end the inning. So it's a 1-3. So it's actually going to be an F7. So he flies out to left field. So hopefully you get a sense of the pace of play, how everything sort of rolls through the game. But we come to Ender Inciarte, top of the 4th inning for the Braves. Braves are up 4-0, and this is going to be to the pitcher, a 1-6 to the pitcher. Again, that's going to be a fly out, regardless who the pitcher is or how good they are. And that's a 1, so it's a fly out to 7. Okay, next up for the Braves is Dansby Swanson. This is going to be to the pitcher, a 2-3 to the pitcher. And again, he's a 4.0 against right-handers. So we find 2-3, and we go to 4.0, 4-6, and it's going to be a double. So Dansby Swanson with the double off Maeda. Brings up Julio Tehran. Now we do have a sacrifice bunt in the game. It doesn't necessarily take into account any bunting skills for the pitcher. But essentially, if there's a, there's a 2 out of 9 chance that the bunt is going to be unsuccessful. So there's a 7 out of 9 chance that it's going to be successful, which I was just trying to match sort of what will be a successful bunting, scenario and situation. So we are going to bunt with Julio Tehran, even though he's homered once in the game. And we're trying to move that runner over to... Actually, it doesn't make any sense with nobody out. Well, let's just let Tehran hit away. So there's already 1 out in the inning. Getting him to third base is not going to do anything. We don't have any sort of wild pitch capability in the game that's going to sort of increase that pressure to put him at third. And Swanson's a 5.3, probably not going to be good to try to steal home with him. It's like a 50-50 chance of stealing home. So let's go ahead and hit away with Julio So this goes to the pitcher, a 1-2 to the pitcher. again, he's a 4.0, so that's going to be a ground out here, and a ground out to shortstop. He's going to be 6'3". Runner's going to hold at second base and not advance. And brings us back to the top of the order. So Ronald Lacuna, runner at second base, top of the fourth inning, 2 down. And this is to the pitcher, a 1-2 to the pitcher. Again, it's going to be the same outcome. It's going to be a ground out to short. And that ends the threat. No runs that inning. And the bottom of the fourth inning, Max Muncy is going to lead off. So this is to the batter, a 5-5 to the batter. Muncy's a 4.8, so a 5-5 to the batter is going to be a line out to, normally we would say a line out to second or to the number 2 position. If this was a pitcher, 1, then it would be a line out to the pitcher. If it was a 9, it'd be a line out to right field, like a hard liner to right field, that kind of thing. But as it is, you can't line out to the catcher. So what I've been doing is switching this to a pop-up or a pop-out to the catcher. So we're going to say P2 to the catcher. So that's going to be our sort of line out to the catcher substitute. This goes to the pitcher, a 6-6 to the pitcher, and pitcher is going to be a 1.6, so you get a foul out. Just generally been doing a foul out if you wanted to do this to the catcher or to an infielder and sort of play by the same rules you would with the by choosing a fielder, that kind of thing, you could. It's not that important to me necessarily on the foul outs. And brings up Bellinger with 2 down. This goes to the pitcher, a 3-4 to the pitcher against Bellinger. A 3-4 is going to be a fly out, but it has a cross, so we need to do an error check. So we roll again. It's not a 1, so it's going to be a fly out. And the number before was also an 8, so it's a fly out to right field. So it's 3 up, 3 down for the Dodgers. And we can see here that both pitchers, let's see, Maeda is at 18, 19 batters faced, and Tehran is at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 batters faced. So both pitchers are doing well. Tehran's stamina is a 23. Kenta Maeda is a 24. So you can see their stamina there. And also have it written down, have a space inside the scorecard where you can write that down too and easily reference it here next to the pitcher name. So top of the 5th inning, leading off of the Braves is